Hello and welcome back, my friends. We are back over here at the bathtub worm bin. This has been in operation for many years now, and I want to share with you exactly how easy it is for me to maintain an active worm bin throughout the winter months, which is crucial if you're trying to have castings to add into your springtime garden. You want to have your worm bin active throughout the winter time. So typically what happens is when you start to fall down into those lower temperatures, 40, 50 degrees Fahrenheit and below, the worms become almost dormant. They stop eating so much food, they dive down, and they almost hibernate. So the way to overcome that is to try to keep your temperatures in that 70 degree Fahrenheit range. And I'm able to easily accomplish that by dropping one of these seedling heat mats in the bin. And by putting it in the middle like this, it creates a zone so the worms can gravitate towards the warmth if they want to get warmer. And if it's too hot in that area, they can back off and go a little bit further away from the heat mat. So let me show you what kind of activity we have in this bin right here in February 2023. So we'll move the heat mat. They tend to like to congregate near the heat mat. And we'll pull back some of this material. You can actually see steam rising up from the pile where the seedling heat mat has been, and the worms are definitely congregating in this area, as you can see. Now if you look closely, you can see many little tiny baby worms throughout these castings as well. So the life cycle is continuing here in the winter without any issues. Thousands upon thousands of baby worms in this bin. What happens when you start disturbing the bedding is the worms dive down, so you gotta expose them pretty quick before they go into hiding. So you can see the activity in this bin. One thing I'm noticing right now is that there's a little bit more moisture in here than I want. So that means I need to add some browns into this bin. You got browns and greens. Greens are going to be fresh materials like this that as they're breaking down are creating moisture in the bin, which drains out in the form of leachate. So one of my favorite browns to add into a bin to balance out moisture levels is coconut coir. But this stuff right here, every gardener should have this on hand. These are premium hardwood pellets used for barbecuing, getting that smoky flavor. So these pellets here are nothing more than compressed hardwood sawdust. And when they come in contact with moisture, they rehydrate and become sawdust once again. So I could sprinkle some of these hardwood pellets into my bin. And this is a very cost-effective strategy as well. A bag like this runs about $19 and it will give me many uses throughout the garden. And you could just leave it on top, or you can work that in a little bit. Now the beauty of this is that as these hardwood pellets absorb the moisture and swell up, they become part of the bedding. And the worms will end up eventually breaking down all of that wood product as well, turning it into castings for the garden. Just a wonderful product all in all. And in this blend is maple cherry artisanal hardwood blend. But you could also add strips of newspaper, brown paper bags, anything that's brown that's going to absorb some of the moisture versus creating more moisture. It's going to help to balance out a bin that has too much moisture in it. Also, if you've got an area in your garden where you want to try your hand at growing some mushrooms This is a food source for the mushrooms. Hardwood. Most people are on the lookout for hardwood wood chips or hardwood logs like oak logs so they can grow mushrooms at home. Well, if you got your mushroom spawn and you're trying to get a patch of, let's say, some 𝗙𝗃𝗃𝗍𝗂𝗃 mushrooms going in your garden, wherever you're trying to get that patch going, you can lay some of these hardwood pellets out, spread it out, and now we've got a premium location to get some of that mushroom spawn out in the garden. They've got a food source. This is going to increase mushroom production. And these all-natural materials and the mycelium will break down these materials and build soil tilt, so the consistency of your soil. So I want to put this out there today because I felt like this was a good time to share with you guys some more information on creating a worm bin and starting mushrooms, because we're in this season to get these projects going so that come spring, we've got our systems in place and we're already ahead of the game. I'm going to be starting some more seeds today in the greenhouse. It's part of my daily 10 minutes a day in the garden activity is to at least get some seeds going. We had some rains come in last night, so we got a good soaking on the ground. Got some asparagus starting to pop up. See a spear right there. Here's another new addition to the Food Forest garden this year. We've got a Garden Delicious genetic dwarf apple. This guy here gets 8 to 10 feet tall, so you can keep it smaller with proper pruning. And y'all remember this garden bed that I put together last year on the cheap? Well, it's held up beautifully. But I added in some more soil and compost into this bed. Obviously there were some areas that had sunk down as the 𝗙𝗃𝗁 and the leaves and everything that I used to build up the first half of this bed began to break down. But now you can see what a beautiful bed we have created here in all this soil. Soil has become ridiculously expensive. Check out the strawberry tree. This has been in the ground a couple years. And it had a rough start, struggled quite a bit, but it's looking pretty healthy right now. Good structure, good new growth starting to form. So I'm excited about what's to come with the strawberry tree. Now the cost of soil has gone up tremendously this year. The typical sacks of garden soil at my local Home Depot are now going for $10 a piece. So being able to create soil at home on the cheap has become a skill set that everybody should begin to learn. And one of the absolute best ways to create soil at home is through the 𝗙𝗃𝗁𝗁𝗃 gardening technique, where you bury sticks, stumps, leaves, and other natural products beneath your soil. And then you only have to fill up maybe the top foot of open space of your bed with soil. This is going to give you a tremendous cost savings if you can implement these strategies. The beautiful thing about it is the soil you create just gets better year after year. So these beds here are about 1.5 feet off the ground, but I didn't just build them by filling them up with 1.5 feet of soil. It's got so much wood and other products in here that I only needed to use maybe about 1/2 foot of soil to cover all of that wood. And this is what you can expect it's going to turn into. This is such good soil. And all this stuff just keeps breaking down within it. So hey, you may want to consider starting some 𝗙𝗃𝗁𝗁 beds or even 𝗙𝗃 pots. Save yourself a ton of money on soil. This entire bed here is actually a hidden 𝗙𝗃𝗁𝗁. Once again, took a bunch of tree branches and stumps and other woody material from around the garden right here on site and buried that within this bed. Not only are we building soil over time, but as that wood breaks down, it becomes sponge-like, taking in the moistures from rains like what we had last night and dispersing and releasing it into the soil, into the bed throughout the hotter spring and summer months when we've had long periods of time without rain. If you look closely in this bed, you can see a bunch of garlic starting to pop up. There's also some perennial tree kale and tree collard popping up from seeds that fell off the mother plant. So just to recap, my friends, I highly encourage you to start a worm bin if you haven't already. You can make a worm bin out of materials that you have just laying around the house, or you can invest in something that's more commercial. Either way, it is an investment. It's going to provide you with plenty of fertilizer to add to your garden, and also help you to process down kitchen waste and scraps, keeping it out of your trash can, and instead building soil, creating fertilizer at home. And if you end up giving the wood pellets a try for your worm bin or to grow mushrooms this year, let us know how it goes. We love hearing from you. This makes me excited right here. This is the goji berry plants beginning to awaken. So with that, my friends, have yourself a good rest of the day. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.